Welcome back. I tried out the hole dozer. See right there, I made a 1-inch core, or a hole that came out with a 1-inch core. I got the 1-in-1, I guess the 1.25 inch hole dozer in, hole saw. And if you see here, this is the previous hole, and I just put that 1-inch core I just dug out here to give me a spacer, so that hopefully when I'm drilling out the hole it doesn't wiggle around too much. I thought about using the old hood pin and just drilling through that, but this seems to work. We'll have to see. Now we'll have to change plans. It also started drizzling by the time I got everything out here, so we'll see if we can even do this today. Trying to get some in-action footage here of the hole dozer. Just gotta find somewhere to set the camera up. Very nerve-wracking right here, drilling into the hood. Let's give it a go. Alright, we got it drilled in. Not as hard as I thought it would be. See here, fiberglass. I also put some painter's tape around here in hopes that it wouldn't scratch off the other paint. And it wouldn't do any damage around that. So let's see if it fits. Alright, here we got the new hood push pin. That core did do its job. Didn't have too much wiggle around in there. Alright, moment of truth. Oh, and it fits perfectly. So now we just have to do some paint touch up there. Actually, let's see how that looks. Give this a good... and see if the painter's tape did its job. Oh, it's not too bad right there. Right there, you see we did get a little lip right there, but that should be covered up by the pin anyway. So not too worried about that. See, you won't even see that. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, but hopefully once we tighten it down, it won't wiggle. I might put a gasket underneath too, just because it has a little space right there. Alright, well, that's the hole dozer in action. Now we're going to do the other side the same way. Alright, so the wooden core wasn't going to work on this hole. This hole is slightly smaller. So what I did is I flipped the old push pin upside down. I'm going to use this as a pilot hole, and hopefully it should fit around all that. I'm not going to show you guys this one. It's basically the same thing as the other side, but also my camera is dying. So I'm going to try to save this little bit of life left and not show you guys this. Alright, I'll be right back. For those of you asking why I switched to bigger hood pins and different style hood pins, well, they're really not that different. This is why. This is the original one that I had on there, slightly smaller. These are about well, at least the head is about 1 inch circumference, I guess. The stud is smaller. It's actually a 2-piece stud. This screws into the radiator support, into like a little boot or cup. Then the other part of the stud screws into this. So the reason I switched from this, and if you see, I thought this was plastic. This was this is actually metal. So it's not that it's bad quality. It's just it's not appropriate for hood use, and I'll show you why. So this is how it's supposed to release. You press the button, and it comes out. However, if you just slightly pull on it, it comes out. That's why I switched it, because when you would unlatch the hood, these would just automatically pop right out. And even sometimes, if they weren't appropriately adjusted, if there was even a slight amount of tension on the stud and the actual head of the push pin, it would just pop out. The other ones I switched to are Quik-Latch ones, and I showed you that in a previous video, and those actually, I tried doing this test, they weren't budging at all. And they're supposed to be rated for, I believe, 500 pounds of force. I'm not sure the exact measurement they use, but they're supposed to hold about 500 pounds. Back to the video. Cutting into fiberglass is very messy, but let's see if it fits. Oh, and we got it there. I would say they're probably about even. More or less, they may be slightly off, but good enough. I would say they're close. They may be like millimeters apart. Alright, let's see if the tape did its job on this side. I wasn't afraid to use painter's tape, as this hood was painted about almost close to 2 weeks ago. Yeah, this side did a lot better. There's no bubbling around here. So I'm just going to touch up this right in here, paint that. I'm probably going to have to do a bigger hole underneath. Let's check that out. So as we see here, we are going to have to make the hole slightly bigger on the underside, which makes me worry, as this is where the bumper, or that bump stop comes and touches, is right here. So we may have to not do the full 2.5 inch, or maybe we can slightly move it over a little bit and not exactly center it. The same thing's going to have to be done on the other side as well. Alright, I'm going to mark this up with painter's tape, and then I'll be right back. So one thing I do want to say about the hole dozer, oh, that's a little too close. Is that when you're using it, it does tighten up. So you are going to need either vice grips or wrench / vice grips to get it off. These cool wrench vice grips built into them are from Craftsman. They're pretty neat, because your typical adjustable wrench won't actually be able to clamp onto stuff like this. And you don't necessarily need a square surface. See, for example, that adapter right there is too thick, or too small, so I can just go like this, and there it comes off. They're a pretty good invention. Maybe I'll do a review on these later. And now we're gonna slide up to 2" because I don't want to do 2.5" because I feel that might be too big. But if I do have to go up to the 2.5", I can. This way I can just start out small and go bigger. Because this is a 2", this is a pretty massive hole. Unfortunately, I have nothing to really center the pilot, so I'm just going to have to do it free-handed. So I am using a cordless Ryobi, and it seems to be doing the job well. It may be because it's fiberglass, you might need a stronger drill if you're doing a metal hood. Also, a note on metal hoods: if you're going to be doing this on a metal hood and it's not aluminum, you should really use touch-up paint and make sure you cover all the exposed metal so it doesn't rust. Alright, just want to show you guys what I did here so far. I did this is really zoomed in. Or I guess it's not. 2" core. I went downstairs, drilled a 2" hole, took out the core, and put it right in there. And I drilled out the hole. Now, unfortunately, the 2" hole is not going to cut it, just because of where my hood pins are positioned. So I am going to have to do a bigger hole. You might find in your case you can get away with a 2" hole, but although I wanted to, I couldn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this core back in there, like so, use it as a guide, and then just drill out the 2.5" hole. And I'll show you guys how it shows up. That's the piece I just cut out. Learn from my mistake. If you can do it all in one shot, just do it in one shot. Doing a smaller hole than a bigger hole is really more of a hassle than I thought it would be. It's mostly centered. Also, try to do it in a flat spot. I had this little lip right here where that bumper catch is, and the bumper catch actually goes right there. So I just barely missed where I needed to be, or almost barely missed. Alright, so I'm going to do the other side. I'm just going to go straight for the 2.5" hole, and I'm going to use the 2" core as a guide. I'll see if I can't show you guys that one. Alright, I got the 2" core there in position. Now all I'm going to do is use that as a guide right there and drill it. Alright. This side's a little harder. I can't do it one-handed, so I'm going to put the camera down, do it, and then come back and show you guys. Alright, right there you see the piece I cut. A little better. Again, go with the straight 2.5" hole if you can. Doing a smaller hole than a bigger hole is really more of a hassle. Alright, so right there we see the 2.5" hole. Over here is where the stopper is going to go, so we got plenty of space. Overall, the cut is a little better. Just right here, again, where that lifted up part is, kind of broken a little piece there. So right here, what sucks is the pin isn't going to hide this. This is where the underside bolt goes. So we are going to have to paint this, maybe slightly sand it down a little bit. If not, I'm going to try to find some other way to hide this, maybe with like some rubber, or maybe I don't know, maybe one of those door protector things that go around the edge of your door. Clean that up a little bit, maybe. Alright, so I installed the other pin on this side. Right there. Or not the pin, but the where the pin goes into. Here's where the pin goes. If you look on the outside, I think it looks pretty nice. It's a little lifted where there's a little groove. I might just put a gasket there, maybe that'll fill that in a little bit. Unfortunately, it's starting to rain and drizzle a little bit harder, so I'm not going to be able to put the pins in. So I'm going to postpone the video for now, and I'll show you guys how to do the pins again later. For me, it'll be a little bit easier because I already have the smaller hole from the other push pin. I just got to get out this little retainer clip here, push that out, and drill it out maybe, do the hole a little slighter, and then probably have to cut the stud a little bit because it'll probably touch the headlight. But we'll save this for tomorrow, or at least the next nice day. Alright, actually, you know what, I'm going to make this part 1 video, and I'm going to do the other one part 2. So if you haven't been on this page before, on my site, on my YouTube page before, please, if you find that you like this video, if it helped you out in any way, please like, consider subscribing, or definitely subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any easier ways of doing this, please share for the other YouTube users and other car community guys, that they may be able to do it a little bit quicker. So far, I don't think it was that much of a hassle. It is nerve-wracking to drill into your hood. At least in my case, because it's fiberglass, it did go a lot quicker. I think if you had metal, it'll probably take a little longer to cut through it. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, so there will be a part 2. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.